Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. They say every company has a probation period, but this wife treated her marriage the same way. Her husband wasn't a partner, he was just the placeholder role until she could land a bigger, flashier position. Today on rSpace, performance reviews in the form of public humiliation. Wife cheated and mocked me in front of my colleagues. I went nuclear, exposed, and divorced her. I, 32 male, have been married to Grace, 28 female, for just over 2 years. Have known each other for about 5. She joined as an intern in my office. I was already a few years into my career. It began as a casual fling, but over the next few months, we couldn't stop seeing each other. The internship ended after a year and she couldn't make it to the permanent role. I pulled some strings at my previous company and helped her get a job there. I thought our relationship would fizzle out after she moved to a different office. Instead, we got closer. We moved in together to save on the bills. Honestly, I was thrilled. I was in love and I thought I was making a responsible decision. Grace was a socialite. She could easily make friends, hosted parties, and organized group travels. My boring, monotonous life turned into an adventure and I was loving it. It was good until last year when my company hosted a big annual event on the occasion of getting listed on the NASDAQ. It was a huge one. The type where everyone dresses up in tuxedos, the booze flows like water, and people forget HR still exists. I took Grace along. At first, she seemed perfectly fine, but the more drinks she had, the more performative she became. Not the worst stuff, but enough to get the eyebrows raised and for me to feel like I was suddenly the punchline of her act. Little digs at my habits at home, the way I zone out after work, even making a jab at how I snore. She went out of her way to get laughs at my expense. Some of the old colleagues knew her already and she did an internship in my company earlier, but over the last few years, the team has expanded and a lot of new people had joined who didn't know her. One of my juniors asked how we met. Grace replied, "Oh, he just wouldn't stop following me around the office until I finally gave him a chance." Everyone laughed, but it painted me like some desperate creep. When my boss asked about our living situation, she joked, "I basically live with a teenager. He plays video games after work until he passes out on the couch. I'm the one who keeps the house from looking like a frat dorm." Later, when people were talking about cooking, she threw in, "If I left him alone with the stove, he'd probably burn down the building. I cook, he eats. That's the arrangement." None of these were monstrous, but put together in front of my colleagues and boss, they made me look incompetent, lazy, and borderline pathetic. I pulled her aside and told her to tone it down. She insisted she was just bonding with everyone and trying to be funny. I told her my personal life isn't material for her stand-up routine. She dialed it back and remained silent for the rest of the night. Wasn't mad or passive-aggressive, just calm. Even after coming back home, I wasn't feeling better. Was still reeling from the conversations we had and how everyone laughed. She apologized, claimed she got carried away and didn't mean to hurt me at all. After a while, I let it slide. Sometimes people do get overwhelmed and desperate to bond. They do tend to overshare. Grace is an extrovert, and I thought she genuinely got carried away. We've been to so many parties before, but she didn't behave this way. Yeah, she's the loudest one in the room, cracking jokes, but never at the expense of my reputation. I thought I could pass this one. Over time, I even forgot about it. Fast forward to this year. My company threw an annual party again. This time it was even more grand. I didn't even think twice before tagging her along. It didn't cross my mind that she would repeat it. On the day of the party, I had an important meeting to close. I said I'll go to the venue directly from work. We decided to meet at 5 p.m. at the parking lot and head inside together. I asked her to text or call me when she leaves for the venue so I can catch up with her on time and none of us has to wait. The venue was 30 minutes away from my place, so I was expecting her to call by 4:30 or so. It was 4:45. Still no call or text. I thought she was running late. Waited another 10 minutes and then called her. She didn't answer. I left a text. Almost 5:15. Still nothing from her. I waited until 5:30, then left the office. 20-minute drive from there. Reached there almost at 6. There was no sign of her in the parking. I headed inside thinking she was yet to arrive. I left her a text to call me back when she gets there and I'll bring her inside. After a good 10 to 15 minutes, I saw her at the corner, chatting with some of my seniors. I was taken aback. If she had already reached, why didn't she inform me? I walked up to her. She rushed towards me and asked why I was late, which got me more furious. I asked her why she was not responding to my calls and texts, to which she acted dumb and pulled out the phone from her bag and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My phone somehow got silent. I didn't hear a thing. I arrived here at 5, was waiting for you downstairs when that colleague of yours invited me inside. It was awkward standing there alone, so I joined him. I asked her why she didn't call me. She almost sobbed. I thought you were busy in a meeting. Didn't want to disturb you. We were still talking about this when I noticed what she was wearing. A semi-transparent netted gown that barely covered her bust. The fabric was so thin and body-hugging that it left nothing to the imagination. No doubt she looked gorgeous and the dress was also stunning, but it wasn't the right occasion for that dress. God dang, it's an office event and not a cocktail party. I kept my thoughts to myself. No point bringing it up at that moment unless I wanted myself to be called insecure and see her making passive-aggressive faces all throughout. I took a drink and started enjoying the event. A few minutes in, and I experienced a deja vu moment. She starts mocking me again, louder this time. A couple of light ones, and I was like, okay. Then she had more drinks and doubled down. When one of my colleagues mentioned how hard I work, she laughed and said, yeah, but the man can't even change a light bulb without Googling it first. I'm the handyman in the house. Then the next one. He spends more time ironing his shirts for work than he does talking to me. Priorities, right? When we went to grab the snacks, she saw the buffet and goes, my husband is more excited about the breakfast buffet than the bedroom, even on our honeymoon. People laughed awkwardly. I saw the side eyes. I pulled her to the side immediately and told her to knock it off. This time I had lost it badly because she was repeating the stuff. It didn't seem like an innocent mistake anymore. She was deliberately trying to sabotage my image in front of my colleagues. She gave me this wounded look, got teary, and ran off towards the bathroom. I just stood there thinking, why did I even bring her? 10 minutes passed. She didn't come back. I stood there like stupid. The evening was already ruined. I went to look for her. That's when everything unraveled. Outside the women's bathroom, I heard her voice. She wasn't alone. Was talking to one of my juniors who reports to me. Grace was advising her. If you want to move up fast, use your contacts wisely. Men in this industry are stupid and easy to manipulate. Look at me. I joined as an intern and got married to the star employee of the company who pays my bills, pampers me, and gets me everything I lay my fingers on. Do you think that's enough? Don't you think I deserve more? Look at me. Look at my body. Does my body deserve to be devoted to just one man? The junior was constantly asking Grace, are you all right? Do you feel better? Your eye looks smudged, and Grace was spilling her heart out. Telling this woman to woman, don't let any man take you for granted. Use them for your lifestyle. It's not my problem if my husband cannot afford a monthly shopping spree at Prada or a yacht party. I have other means to get that done. He's just my placeholder until I upgrade. I have just a couple of years before I hit 30, and that makes me anxious. I have to find someone permanent. The junior tried to calm her down and said she shouldn't stress so much. Grace whispered something to her which I couldn't hear, and then the junior screamed, no way! Next I heard Grace giggling and babbling, that's how I stay sane. I F his seniors and sometimes his boss too, just for fun and some Gucci and Louis Vuitton hampers. To fund my lifestyle, you know. But Kevin, I think I can have him for longer time. He's going through a divorce, and I heard he's in line for the director's position next year. He already has a huge ancestral property. He told me the other day after sex. His ex-wife is fighting for that. This dress, you see, he gifted me and asked me to wear it today. The junior asked how I didn't suspect her until now, to which Grace replied, please, he's clueless. He thinks I'm stressed from work or visiting friends when I'm out. The man believes whatever excuse I throw at him. Honestly, he's such a simp. The junior said, that's so harsh. Grace, harsh? It's reality. I didn't bust my butt in school just to end up married to someone who thinks saving on rent is the highlight of adulthood. I deserve better, and until I get it, he's fine. She said it like she's talking about a broken chair she's keeping until she bought a new one. Then she added, almost bragging, use your assets, sleep with who you need to, climb the ladder. I stayed frozen until she wrapped up and left the bathroom. I stuffed myself inside the men's bathroom to avoid the confrontation right there. I just couldn't believe what I heard. For context, Kevin is a senior in my company, going through a divorce for over a year. He's in mid-40s, but looks like he's in his 50s. Works 50 to 60 hours a week, even in lighter months. He's received a promotion every year since he joined. The company is looking to make him a director next year, which would increase his salary several times. He was the same guy with whom she went inside. I was in pure shock. I went back to the party, grabbed my stuff, told her we were leaving. The drive home was silent except for her passive-aggressive sniffles, like I was the villain for embarrassing her earlier. The whole night, her words kept looping in my head. He's just a placeholder until I upgrade. I didn't sleep. I waited until she passed out. Then I went through her phone. I've never done that before. I always thought of myself as the trusting husband, but after what I heard, I couldn't stop myself. Holy hell, what I found. Her messages confirmed everything. She was effing Kevin and several others, all her senior guys. There were explicit texts, hotel receipts, even nudes. The earliest message was from 10 months ago when she changed her phone. The previous messages couldn't be retrieved, but I'm guessing that was the same time when they started seeing. The chat said so. I believe all this started at last year's party, though she claimed to the junior that she slept with my boss. I couldn't find the evidence for the same. There were no text exchanges between them. I didn't find his name in her group chat as well. Not only that, she was also effing 2 more guys. Both of them are seniors in her company. Of all the men she had effed, Kevin was the one she was looking forward to for the long term. He even promised to marry her after he divorced his wife and got the director's role. There were obviously chats, nudes and whatnot with all these men. However, the real goldmine was her group chat with her female friends, which stitched the full story. She bragged about how she was balancing all of them. She openly mocked me, called me boring, predictable, but also useful. Said I was basically her stepping stone until someone richer or more influential came along. They all laughed along. I can't even explain how miserable I felt. It was like reading my own obituary. I decided right there that if she thought of me as a stepping stone, I'd turn it into a landmine. First thing the next morning, I called the divorce lawyer. As per the instructions on this website, I started sorting out all the information into one place. Screenshots of the chats with affair partners and her friends. The fuzzy voice recordings of last night's bathroom conversation. Yes, I had recorded a few of the talks. Though it's not so clear to be presented as evidence, still you never know. I made sure everything was neatly organized. Meanwhile, I acted normal around her. She was furious about the party incidents. Walked around the house with her tantrums waiting for me to apologize and make things right. I kept things civil, didn't escalate it. Neither apologized. I waited for the meeting with the lawyer before pulling another move. I went there prepared with all of the evidence in place. He started the immediate filing. We didn't have any joint property, nor substantial savings except for a few $1,000s in a spare account for household expenses. I have some savings in a mutual fund, but that is solely mine and I was building that before our marriage. The lawyer laid out the details, the collateral and commercials. One thing was assuring that the marriage was a short duration and she had a job, so I don't have to pay alimony. Maybe some bare minimum in the worst case. I informed him about my plan of going nuclear, bursting the racket which she's running at my office and hers. He said he would go through the evidence before giving a nod and also asked me to keep it low until she's served. So, I'm waiting patiently for the next nod and sucking it up for now. It's one thing for a partner to make a couple of jokes at your expense in public, but what you overheard and then later discovered on her phone goes way beyond that. The placeholder comment alone is gutting, and then to see her mocking you with her friends and treating your marriage as some kind of temporary arrangement is completely dehumanizing. You didn't deserve any of that. Update 1. Thanks for all the support. Here's how everything went down. After going through the evidence, my lawyer advised me that we remain low-key until she's served, so I had to keep shutting it down until then. I used that time to find a place. I rented a room in a 4-bedroom apartment. I also hunted for a new job because I couldn't stay in a place where my personal life was floating like a gossip magazine. It was unbearable. Whenever I looked at Kevin and the other guy she effed, I wanted to scream and spill it out. However, before I could do it, the junior with whom Grace was proudly ranting with her horror stories spilled the tea. Eventually, I sensed that people were making eye contact whenever I passed, whispering behind my back, and as I entered the meeting room, it went silent followed by side-eye glances. This went on for a couple of days when I noticed Kevin was missing in action. Someone said he was working from home temporarily. His absence fueled the gossip. At home, Grace started losing her guard. She obviously knew through Kevin about these gossips in my office. However, she couldn't confront me about it. What would she say? That Kevin told me that everyone is gossiping about my F-ups at your workplace? In that case, she had to admit that she was in touch with him, which she couldn't do. So the situation was, she knew I knew. I knew she knew I knew. She started softening up, trying to hug me, hold my hand, spoon me while sleeping. I didn't accept her moves. Neither did I turn hostile. I could have confronted her, but I wanted to see her anxious. She was waiting for me to bring this up, and the wait was driving her crazy. When my lawyer gave me a green signal, I drove to his place and brought the papers. I came home and she was doing something in the kitchen. She walked out to me for a hug. I shrugged her off and handed her the envelope. I didn't wait to see her reaction and immediately sent the drafted messages to her parents. It was a crisp and clear text that I was divorcing Grace because she cheated on me with multiple men in exchange for luxurious gifts. And before she upgraded to someone more stupid to lick her butt, I wanted to free myself. I also attached one screenshot of her group chat with her female friends as evidence, so no questions asked. Someone had recommended in my first post that I own the narrative from day one so that she doesn't get to play the victim. I took that and it helped. They didn't reply immediately, but her phone started buzzing almost immediately. She ignored it and ran behind me to justify herself. Didn't realize why they were calling. She came to me and said it was just a rumor and I shouldn't believe the gossip mongers. I asked, "How do you know about the gossip going on in my company?" "Unless you're in touch with them." She fumbled that she was in touch with some of the old colleagues who worked during her time, and that's how the information passed. I said I have all the evidence, so stop pretending. I played the brief recording at the bathroom talk she was having with the junior. She was stoned and collapsed on the couch, then started sobbing that she was drunk and doesn't remember a thing, and maybe she was just hallucinating in the neon light. I screamed and cussed that I have all her chats and now she should stop lying. She broke down, but I wasn't there to wipe her tears. I had to pack and move out. She tried to stop me and said, "Can we please talk and sort this out?" All this while her phone was buzzing. I replied, "Maybe you should talk to your parents and see what they have to say." She responded that they lashed out at her. They were mortified. She looked at me with disbelief and teary eyes, hung up and said, "I don't believe you did this. If you had any problem with me, you should have discussed it with me rather than going behind my back and telling my parents about it. They're so distraught." I lost my crap. I was like, "Likewise, if you had problems with me, you should have told me instead of getting your butt effed for easy money." She begged and cried and said it was just sex, that she didn't mean any of it. I smirked. "I know it was just sex. You traded your cunt for Prada shoes. I had read all the chats with your girlfriends." When she ran out of ammo, she screamed, threw a glass at the wall, and locked herself in the bedroom. I moved out with as much stuff as I could. The next week, I got the offer from the new company. I didn't get a raise, basically joined in the same position and salary as earlier, which essentially meant I went behind but by a year in my career. I didn't care about it. I wanted to run from my past. The house, the office, and the marriage, all of it. I went to my previous company's HR and gave my 30-day notice. She asked me the reason for leaving, pretty much for a general process. Explained that my wife had been involved with my senior and possibly others. She was shocked. I showed her the proof. HR doesn't play with this stuff. Asked me if I could share the copy for further investigation. I shared a few screenshots. Within days, Kevin was sent on leave pending investigation. I also informed her about the ongoing gossip and requested for an immediate release. She approved me on the grounds of mental health. The process is on. I removed my name from the apartment lease. She's still staying there. My lawyer gave me clear instructions not to mess up with her job. That could cost me alimony. So I'm holding that weapon for now. Update 2. So it's done and dusted. I filed for divorce, citing infidelity. With a mountain of evidence, it was clean cut. She didn't get alimony. She continued to live in our leased apartment. Got to keep the car I bought for her. Split whatever money we had in a spare account. That's it. At work, I got the immediate exit. Based on my complaint, the investigation was conducted. The junior she bragged to in the bathroom came forward to HR too, saying Grace pressured her to network sexually. That pushed things over the edge for the investigation. Kevin was fired, not because he was sleeping with his junior's wife, but because he was making moves at other female junior employees and promising them a promotion. They were too scared to speak up against him, but the investigation encouraged them to come forward. He lost his job and his reputation. My boss came clean. Apparently Grace was exaggerating it. The other two seniors she hooked up with also left the office because they couldn't take the gossip. I had also switched to a different company. It's peaceful here. After the divorce was settled, I anonymously dropped the evidence to her company's HR that Grace was effing her seniors for personal gains. If you remember, I mentioned that I used my contact in my previous office to get her a job. I still had those contacts there. I used them to spread this news and it spread like wildfire. Before anyone asks, let me clarify. No, she didn't sleep with my friends working in that company. A similar fate followed there. She was fired along with the senior guys whom she effed. Obviously, she rained explosives at me for ruining her life, but who cares? She got what she deserved. So, that's it. Probably this is my last update. I want to move on from this crap. Thanks for the support. You didn't give her a single inch to play the poor me card, and the fact that Kevin and those other clowns ended up going down too, we love it. You didn't even have to get messy. You just showed people the truth and it was enough. I know losing your job and switching set you back on paper, but honestly, best case scenario, that's worth more than any title bump, and now you've got the chance to rebuild on your terms without looking over your shoulder or waiting for the other shoe to drop. Have you ever realized someone saw you as a temporary in their life, just as a placeholder until something better came along? Share your stories with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.